The House of Representatives tried to put lipstick on a pig, and they created a really big mess. And I just want to tick off a couple of areas that we have been touching on in the Finance Committee. What is still intact is more than $800 billion in Medicaid cuts. And these Medicaid cuts are going to hit American communities like a wrecking ball. And the pain is going to be felt throughout the ages. Youngsters with special needs are going to be affected because Medicaid plays a key role in their care. That's why I saw some of their advocates in tears when they were talking to me at home about the Medicaid cuts. If you're a high school student and you say have a brush with cancer because they blow holes in the current protections for Americans against discrimination with pre-existing conditions, those high school students, hopefully they have a remission, but they'd be carrying around under this bill a scarlet letter through the rest of their lives. So the fact of the matter is the pain is seen through the ages. And with 2 out of 3 older people who are on Medicaid also getting their nursing home care that way, what the House is saying for the older people, despite the fact you did everything right in your life, you paid for your kids' education, you saved, you never took that vacation, you may have nowhere to turn when it comes to long-term care. And finally, the next 10 days we believe are going to be crucial. Senators and House members are going to be home over the Memorial Day recess. I have 5 town hall meetings scheduled for Oregon. And what I'm going to be doing is using that time to make sure we can stop dead in its tracks any further effort here in the Senate to maybe put another cosmetic change or 2 on the House bill and pass it. The basic frame is still alive in the Senate Republican caucus. I'm going to close with this, because the basic frame is hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of tax cuts for the most fortunate in America, and hundreds of billions of dollars in Medicaid cuts for the most vulnerable. So the next 10 days, we are going to be all over this country trying to educate people about what's at issue. On the Medicaid issue, I think a lot of people still think that folks on Medicaid are kind of loafing and not working. 2 out of 3 of the people on Medicaid are in fact working. So those are the messages we're going to be getting out, and we're going to make sure that all of America understands over the next 10 days that if the Senate Republicans come back, try to put a cosmetic change or 2 on it, and then, as Senator Murray points out, fast track it through the Senate, we're going to be stopping it cold, and certainly the CBO information gives us a big boost, and Senator Sanders is next.
Thanks, Ron. We can call this legislation whatever we want. You can call it a destroy health care bill. You could call it a tax break for the rich bill, but we should not call it a health care bill, because I have never seen a health care bill which throws 23 million Americans off of health insurance. That's not a health care bill. It's not a health care bill when you cut Medicaid by $800 billion, denying health insurance to children or some of the poorest people in this country, or middle-class people who need help with nursing home care for their parents. It is not a health care bill when you defund Planned Parenthood and deny 2.5 million women their choice of health care providers. It is not a health care bill when you force older workers to pay 2, 3, 4 times more for the health care that they currently get. So call it whatever you want, but please do not call this bill a health care bill. This is legislation that provides over $200 billion in tax breaks to the wealthiest 2%. It is legislation which provides hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks for the insurance companies, the drug companies, and other people in the medical industry. Our job is to come together and improve the Affordable Care Act. That means lower deductibles, lower co-payments, lower prescription drug costs. Our job is to pass a health care bill, not to throw millions of people off of the health insurance they currently have. Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you to our leader, Senator Schumer, for bringing us together. The CBO nonpartisan, fact-based score shows what a horror show this Republican plan is for the people who need health care most. The CBO is supposed to score and tell us what the costs are of specific programs. And what this score shows is monstrous mounting costs, skyrocketing financial costs, catastrophic human costs, unconscionable moral costs. Those clear facts are undeniable. And it imposes, in effect, an age tax. Seniors are going to find, if this measure ever became law, that the tax credits for health care are completely restructured to their detriment. It also, in addition to a war on seniors, is a war on women's health care, and it prevents more availability of mental health care, and at a time when we have bipartisan consensus about the need for opioid abuse and addiction treatment, as well as outreach, it would decimate that kind of care as well. So it is a nightmare, and it has no pulse because it has no heart. It is heartless, and it is dead, or should be dead on arrival. And now, my colleague, Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. Listen, the CBO score just confirms that the House repeal bill is still a humanitarian catastrophe for America. 2 quick points. Senator McConnell is going to try to tell you that this is old news and that it doesn't matter because Senate Republicans are going through their own process. Let me guarantee you that the Senate Republicans are using the House bill as a foundation for the product that they are constructing. The CBO score is important and relevant because the Senate product, if it ever emerges from these secret meetings, will simply be a variant of the House bill. Why? Because in the end, they want a bill passed, and they know if they truly were to start over, they could not reconcile the two products. So this CBO score is directly relevant to these secret negotiations because I can guarantee you the Senate Republicans are using the House product as a foundation for their negotiations. Second, one of the most important things that this CBO score says is that these high-risk pools that the House conceived do not work. The CBO score released hours ago says that if you are an individual with a pre-existing condition in a state that uses the waiver, you will not be able to buy insurance. So this whole idea that the House had set up a separate way to deal with people with pre-existing conditions is now exposed as a fiction by CBO. If you are sick, if you have ever been sick in this country, you are now at risk of losing your health care. That's plainly what CBO says.
Questions to any of us? Yes.
As you pour through all of this, where do you think the Republicans are most likely to fail at their attempt to use reconciliation to push through the bill?
Well, I think they're first having big trouble getting 50 votes for anything because their fundamental foundation is wrong, which is simply to take huge tax breaks for the rich as payment for cutting people's health care. And so it's very hard for them when they promise to make things better to put together a bill. Once you start off with a foundation, you must suck over $250 billion out for tax cuts for the rich. And it leads to higher premiums, it leads to less health care, and they're stuck. They're just stuck. And any bill they come out with, the reason they rushed it through in the House without a CBO score is they knew they'd be embarrassed by the score that came out today. The reason Mitch McConnell is talking about doing the same thing, no hearings, no amendments, is because they'll be embarrassed by the similar product they'll come out with.
Chuck, can I get a word?
Please, yeah.
Let me just speak as the ranking member of the Budget Committee. As you know, on the reconciliation, the Help Committee is required to save at least $1 billion. It is very possible that the new bill does not meet that basic requirement because of the high-risk pool and stabilization amendments that were added to the bill. It is possible that, in fact, that bill may cost the Help Committee some $28 billion rather than save $1 billion. And if that's the case, reconciliation is not a process they could use.
It'll mean that if that's true, we don't know yet, but there's a real possibility that it just doesn't meet reconciliation. That means the House has to come back with a new bill and vote again. Doesn't work.
Under Obamacare, there have been states with triple-digit premium increases, many with high double-digit increases. This can't all be attributed to the Republican administration.
Read.
The Democrats, to this point, have not released any concrete proposals on how they would seek to fix the law, the issues with the law that have existed. Will we see anything in the coming weeks
Okay.
from Democrats in terms of public proposals?
The number one reason that things are getting, that people are leaving, insurance companies are leaving the exchanges is described in one word: sabotage. Our Republican colleagues are sabotaging people's health care to prove a political point. And if you don't believe me, read what AHIP, the Association of Insurers, said today. They said the number one reason for the increase in premiums and fewer people participating in the exchanges is the refusal of this administration and our Republican colleagues to make cost sharing permanent. They said it, not me. We have put out a proposal to our Republican colleagues. We say, once you abandon repeal, we want to work with you to fix it, and we lay out 6 places where we do. We'll send you the letter. Last question.
Speaker Ryan and some other Republican members are saying, but this lowers the deficit. So what's your response to that?
It lowers the deficit mainly because they want a huge tax break for rich people, and then they dramatically slash Medicaid. They dramatically slash the ability of people to pay. That's not why you don't reduce a deficit on the backs of working people in America who need health care. They want to reduce the deficit? Don't cut the taxes of the very rich. No one in America wants it except a small little handful, but they seem to have the say with the Trump administration and our Republican colleagues. Thank you.